States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Carter.
Here.
Mazer.
Here.
Schneider.
Here.
Sofa.
Here.
Wilson.
Here.
Weaver. Zimmer.
Here. All right, non-agenda items from the sideline. Mr. and Mrs. Goodwin?
Good evening. We are Matt and Leslie Goodman, and we are here tonight to speak about an issue we've recently had in our home at 34441 Potter Street. As some of you may be aware, we had a sewage overflow into our finished lower level on April 12, 2023 due to a blockage in the city main in the street near our home. This resulted in raw sewage entering our home through our lower level bathroom shower, toilet, and floor drain, and into our crawl space, causing significant damage. From what we've been told, this is the third time this has occurred in this home, twice before we moved in. This stretch of city main is a known problem area according to city employees, yet nothing has been done to identify why blockages are occurring in a straight section of the main. This is not a normal occurrence. We have attempted to recoup our losses through our own insurance company, but were denied since the blockage did not occur on our own property. We have also contacted the Michigan Municipal League and were treated extremely rudely by one of their claims adjusters, being told there was no defect in the main, even though no investigation has occurred. Even though this has happened previously in our home, the previous homeowner was unfortunately advised by the city not to install a backflow prevention device, which would have very likely prevented the sewage from entering our home and causing the damage that has occurred now for a third time. We were also told that a backflow prevention device cannot be installed, even though many municipalities actually require them in homes with lower level bathrooms like ours. We feel the city bears responsibility for what we now must deal with. The night this occurred, we were not able to turn on water until the blockage was removed. We had to send our children to their grandmother's house for the night. My wife developed a rash on her body from the sewage in our home. We were instructed by the mitigation company not to stay in the house or eat the food due to chemicals in the air that were not safe. We have already spent $4,000 out of our own pocket to pay for the entire lower level, including a bathroom, laundry room, large closet, small closet, crawl space, and our son's bedroom to be gutted, cleaned, and disinfected. This does not include personal items that were lost, such as a wardrobe, bookshelves, dressers, a recliner, Christmas tree and decor, 2 bathroom vanities, storage cabinet, and some family photos. Our son is now forced to sleep in the living room because of this. We are now facing tens of thousands of dollars to rebuild. There is nothing the city is currently doing or has done to prevent this from happening again in the future. We must rebuild before our insurance company even considers additional coverage that would increase our insurance bill by 30% each year, but that doesn't prevent it from happening again. If we decide to sell someday, we are now legally obligated to disclose this to potential buyers, negatively impacting our ability to sell and decreasing the property value of our homes and homes around us. We are asking for the city's financial assistance in rebuilding what was damaged and doing what's necessary to prevent it from happening in the future. We're not looking to get rich, just have our expenses covered. We are established members of this community and do not want this situation to cause broken relationships between ourselves and the city, but we'll do what we need to do to ensure things are made right. Every member of this community deserves to be provided with proper and safe municipal services, and we hope the city will do the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Tammy?
I just had a question with regards to the parking over underneath the water tower. All the pylons were taking out that butt up against to where the fire department goes out, and now there's barriers out there, so I didn't know what the plan was for the parking out there, if that's been taken away or not. So that was my question.
Bart?
We removed those. We were just waiting to see on the pumper trucks and that. I know especially in winter time, they have a terrible time getting their trucks up that little incline in that parking lot. We thought it might be a better idea to come in and swing around close to the building and then back into the bays instead of trying to get up that incline off of Union Street. So right now it's an experiment. At this point, they have not done that turnaround to see if it's even feasible. They may have to do a pull up where they end up out in the Union Street anyway. So that's all. I'm just waiting to just see if this will even work.
As of now, can they still park there? Even though
As
the
of
parking
now,
lot's
sure.
shut?
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to know what
Yeah,
the
I didn't
plan
post
was, 'cause that's
anything.
where I always tell my employees to park,
Right,
to keep
yeah.
them away for the make room for the customers.
There's a thought,
so.
and that's what, it's just, right now, we're just waiting to get one of the largest trucks, what is normally parked back here. See if it'll even work.
Okay, thank
Okay.
you.
Thanks, Amy. Adoption or amendment to the agenda?
I have a note here to amend the agenda. Under unfinished business, number 2, the planning commission's recommendation for the marijuana retail hours. I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Support.
Mazer,
Yes.
Schneider,
Yes.
Sofa,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Zimmer,
Yes.
Martyr.
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, I believe you skipped city administration.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes, I did. Okay, back up a little bit. Bart?
We'll start flushing tomorrow night for a couple of nights. Usually start at 7 o'clock. Try to get 6 hours in a night at least.
How many days have you been doing
Wednesday
this?
and Thursday.
Okay. Douglas?
Met with the fire committee the other day to go over some concerns that we have going on. One is daytime staffing. As of today, that's gotta be even a little more critical. I found out I'm getting a new knee next month, so.
Need. Need.
Oh, okay.
So I'm gonna be out of
So you're out
commission.
of the commission.
So we got to figure out what to do daytime. Also, I don't know if the fire committee wants to talk or not. We gotta start looking at getting a new fire engine. Ours is 28 years old. Put that in perspective, it now qualifies for historic plates from the state of Michigan.
Will that save us money?
Not on
So
repairs.
we need to think about doing some financing for an engine because we don't have the money saved to buy
You're
one.
talking about probably $500,000?
Yes.
Well, not financing $500,000.
Not financing.
No,
They're gonna
no.
take a large, what we talked about at the meeting was to take some money out of equipment
Well,
replacement.
no, I'm just saying, it's $500,000 to
Yeah,
replace
yeah.
it.
What'd you say, 420?
450, 500, yeah.
They got about, I think, a little over 400 in there.
Yeah.
But what we were thinking is don't wanna tap that all out and just use that to make a sizable down payment.
Can't, you know, you can't tap it all over, but we'll have to get into it.
Yeah, we'll have to have some discussions on that.
Well, you know, your budget's all set for next year anyway, so, but you may have to involve the townships a little bit in the pay schedules and all that kind of stuff. We'll have to look at it.
Yeah,
Okay?
that's it.
I have a question. When you're out, will someone be acting in your place?
I won't be out. I won't be able to do runs for
Yeah.
a while, but the administration part won't
Okay.
be a problem.
Just curious.
Yeah.
Matter of your staffing to be.
To be around here.
To be available.
Yeah.
Parks and Rec, Judy?
Yeah, starting next Friday, we're gonna have senior lunch at the Lions Hall. So it'll be the second Friday of every month from now on at the Lions. And every other Friday will be canasta at the Lions Hall.
So is that opposite of the lunches?
Karen?
It'll be the same, some will be the same as the lunch.
Karen, library?
Not a whole lot of news from last time, but we do appreciate the money that the city is setting aside to improve the facilities.
A little at a time, right?
Little at a time, baby steps.
Yeah.
So, let's see, jumping all around here, let's move on down to approval of the regular minutes from April 4th, 2023. Can we have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Support.
Schneider,
Yes.
Sofa,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Zimmer,
Yes.
Martyr,
Yes.
Mazer.
Yes.
All right, presentation and approval of the April disbursements report of $114,232.97. and the electronic wire transfers of $12,639. Can I get a motion to approve that?
I'll make a motion that we approve the April disbursements of $114,232.97 and electronic wire transfers of $12,639.
Support.
Sofa,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Zimmer,
Yes.
Martyr,
Yes.
Mazer,
Yes.
Schneider.
Yes.
Can I get a motion to put communications on file?
So moved.
Wilson,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Zimmer,
Yes.
Martyr,
Yes.
Mazer,
Yes.
Schneider,
Yes.
Sofa.
Yes. So, from the Festival Committee, on behalf of the Memphis Chamber of Commerce, requesting permission to hold several events during this year's Memphis Festival Days. Thursday, August 3rd, they will start the festivities on Main Street with family fun night starting at 6 o'clock. The Memphis Festival Days Parade on August 4th at 6:30. The Festival Days Fireworks Saturday, August 5th at dusk at the Lions Hall on Pratt Road. The 5K run again August 4th prior to the parade, and the Memphis Festival Days Duck Race Sunday, August 6th at 3 o'clock at the Museo Park. Can we get a motion to approve all these dates?
Make that motion.
Support.
Weaver,
Yes.
Zimmer,
Yes.
Martyr,
Yes.
Mazer,
Yes.
Schneider,
Yes.
Sofa,
Yes.
Wilson.
Yes.
Okay, unfinished business. The financing, the drinking water revolving project resolution. We have Mr. Roger Sweats here to do some explaining for us. Roger, if you take the podium, that'd be great.
Okay. It's nice to be with you all tonight. So the resolution that you have before you is the first legal step that has to be taken by the city to start the process to issue bonds through the state's drinking water revolving fund program called DWSRF. This resolution is a very preliminary resolution that just opens the door to give the city options for issuing bonds, and it does not obligate the city to anything. The decision as to how much would actually be issued for the bonds will be made later, probably either late June or early July, once you've received bids for the projects. At that point in time, the city council will have full power to decide to borrow kind of the full plan that's laid out in the project priority list that the state has prepared. You could cut it back at that point in time, or you could just decide not to do anything at all. Because this resolution is very preliminary, on the advice of the engineers, we did a not to exceed amount of $1 million, which I know is a fair amount more than what you're planning on. The reason for that is just to provide options to the city if bids would come in high for the project. If we have enough room under this ceiling that you'll set tonight, if you adopt this resolution, at the time the city will be able to decide, well, we need to borrow more money because we really want to get all this done, and you would have the option to do that. You'll also have the option at the time to tell the engineers to cut the project back, assuming that practically speaking they can cut it back and still have it be a workable project. Or you could just simply say at that point in time, if bids come in high, we don't want to do this now, we're not going to move forward, send everybody back to the drawing board and come back another time and see what we can do. The reason why it's fairly important to keep flexibility is that the city is set up to receive quite a bit of what I would call free money from the state to get this project done. It's a combination of grant money in the amount of $873,900, And then it's a little confusing because it's not all grant money. The way the state does a lot of this is they do it through what they call principal forgiveness. So then after that 873,900 is taken off, there is an additional 100 and, what was it, 150, 156, 100.
156,
Yeah, that would just be borrowed to kind of round off the non-lead service line part of the project. And then there's $390,000 available for lead service lines. Of that 390, that has to be borrowed, so we need to include that amount in the notice of intent limit that we do. But immediately, the day that the bonds are closed, the state will immediately forgive 191,100, and so that'll immediately be reduced. So at that point, if the city took the whole package, it would, out of a total project of $1,420,000, it would only have to pay back $355,000 of that at a low interest rate of 1.875%. Now, it would be possible with respect to 156,100 of this project, if the city didn't want to borrow quite that much. We believe that there will be an option from the state for the city to pay that back, to pay that up front with a cash contribution from other sources, which then could lower the bonding amount down to 198,900. That'll be up to the city at that point whether you want to borrow the 355, which is the net after principal reduction, or the 198,900. But in any event, at this point in time, we're recommending that the city leave it. I've heard some thought that the $1 million ceiling is a little bit concerning. We can lower that some, but we would strongly recommend that you leave that ceiling at a relatively high number yet. Wait until you get your bids in so you know what this is all really going to shake out to, because right now we're just working with engineers' estimates. And then later in June, to the end of June, early July, come back to make a final decision on what amount that you want to borrow. If we're told by the state preliminarily that if you wanted to pay the 156.1 in a contribution from the city, you could do that. Thought was also raised about potentially borrowing that from a bank instead of from the state. The reason for that being that the state loan will be 20 years and you're probably not going to be able to pay that back soon. The issue, though, that you face with that is that the interest rate you're getting from the state is so low, and interest rates now are so high. You could do that and you would still probably pay more interest on a shorter term from the bank than what you're going to pay over 20 years to the state. Plus, you would have yet another bond issue with the cost of issuing it, and it would be very hard to conceive of a situation where that would actually save the city any money. So I think the most realistic decision you would have to make in late June or early July, if you don't want to take the full 355, is, would you want to pay some of that 156 down with some funds on hand from the city? And we think that's going to be an option from the state. We really want to get a firmer confirmation from them, which we will be able to do at the time that bids come in and we finalize these things. But that's kind of the decision tonight is adopting this resolution that will set the ceiling, and again, it doesn't commit the city to borrowing that amount, doesn't commit the city to even doing the project at all, but it will set a ceiling that allows money to be borrowed once we get through a 45-day referendum period, if that's what the city decides it wants to do once bids come in.
Yeah, my thought is, ask high and don't use it, and once you get the approval, and we have that, the option that we're probably never going to go that high, but we would have the option.
Right, that's the thought, yeah.
We had memos going back and forth, and it was, I had a lot of concerns, so I did write a memo to Roger, and he responded to that and answered, I think, to my satisfaction, most of the questions, and I think you got a copy of that as well. And of course, it would be my recommendation that the 355,000 that we're responsible for, which is 25% of the 1,420,000, but would be, and if we can, is to pay the 156,100 or I guess it was 157, maybe that's even, I'm not sure. But that 156,000, as we have in our equipment replacement, I mean the water and sewer fund, I should say, we have about 450 in there at our last audit in June 22.
So we wouldn't have to borrow anything, we just pay the 156.1 out of that
If
fund?
we're allowed to pay that off, which they kind of indicate we can, then we have to borrow 198.9. And the only thing I was hoping for is that we didn't have to take a minimum amount of time to maturity of 20 years. I was hoping it could be less, or that could be paid off, because I think we have the funds.
Right,
that
as we have in the past, where we borrowed money and then paid off
Right.
early. So I guess it's a matter of crunching the numbers and looking at
Yeah.
that amount of money based on interest rate today or in the future with them going up, as well as if you borrow the money, how does it pay out over 20 years as opposed to paying it off in 10?
Right. So
We're gonna see interest rates that low for a while.
Yeah, so since we can't do that, but I think if we can do that, we'd be borrowing 120, almost 200,000. And as Roger says, the interest rate is 1.875, which is, as you know, in this day and time, it's not a high interest rate. And I don't know what the amortization chart is of that, what the payments would be. Of course, if you just took the principal, multiply and divide by 20, it's 10,000 a year. But there would have to be interest on that. And of course, the interest at the start is always higher than at the end. And also, on our water bills now, there's a ready to serve, which generates approximately a little over 10,000 a year. So we'll have to go through the figures when we get to it and figure what the amortization chart, what payments yearly would be. And I think that would cover a significant portion of that. And because what we're doing is significant,
Right.
and improvements. It's backup generators. It's
Well, we're looking at $1.42 million.
right. So I think
Water meters and such.
yeah, and it's going to replace
Water
all the
main.
water meters, which that ready to serve was kind of indicated that would be for replacement anyway. Well, this will be done under, and we'll be paying 25% instead of 100% on all this stuff. So, and the other one is very important, is a backup generator, which will be automatic, and there'll be instrumentation on there, on the pumps, that will automatically put it over to the generator. And another significant is Lois and Robert Streets, undersized piping there, a 4-inch, I believe it is.
Orange cast iron.
Yeah, and so that will be updated.
Yep.
As well. In doing that, the roads will have to be updated to some degree as well.
Correct.
So in my opinion, it's very important that we proceed with this, if at all feasible. And we'll get into the financial end later on, maybe within, what, Roger said, 2 months or something like that.
End of June or first half of July.
Okay, so I think we'll figure out the financial end of it, but I think from the answers I got to all my questions, that we should proceed.
I do have, which you and I talked about, Larry.
Yes.
The concern is too, if you're carrying this for 20 years, paint-wise, now you've got all this new equipment, 20 years, those meters are ready. We just pay them off and it's definitely time to replace them already.
That's
something we'll have up for discussion right now. I mean, what's on the table here is whether or not we want to move forward with signing this resolution.
So, do we have to give a number to this resolution tonight, or are you just
I
going to
think
introduce it as that?
all we have to do tonight, I mean, we'll have a number on there, but all we have to do tonight is
The resolution number?
We want to approve the resolution, we also want to approve the contract. And what I understand, that's $8,000, is that correct? Yeah, okay. So we have two things to approve.
Roger, could I ask just
Go ahead.
concerning the fee structure, just so I understand, I don't know if I do or not, but I see there is $8,000 for the issue up to $546,000. And then there's some language here that says if it exceeds that, the difference would be increased by 20 or a quarter %. So is that on the, let's use 1.4 million for example. So how will we be charged? If we came in at 1.4 million, are we now being charged 0.25% on that entire issue, or the difference between the 546 and the 1.4? Because I just want to make sure I'm understanding, because that would bring us from $8,000 up to about $22,000 in just a fee.
Yeah, that number is the grant amount of $873,900 does not count towards the number that fee applies to. So the actual project, would have to come in over, the total project would have to come in over $1,420,000 in order for that fee to increase at all from the $8,000. And if the city's going to put some cash in of its own to pay some of those costs, that also prevents the fee from going up. So we need to have, kind of a significant bid overrun that you would decide you want to issue additional bonds for.
Yeah, I wasn't sure what figures were being applied for that formula that came out. Apparently it's really not germane to the entire cost.
Given where you guys are going, it's probably not likely that that's going to come into place, and I'm happy to chat with you further about it if that happens.
It's just for the portion that we're borrowing. Right. For just our part.
Thank you.
I have a question. So in your email, you said that there was a state board that could decide if you could pay it off early.
Yeah.
Down the road. But my question is that, is that something that other communities actually look toward, or is that a rare case?
It's a rare case of hundreds, if not thousands of these that I've done. I've had several communities over time ask, and in the past we were able to pay a couple down. This is their current policy now that they're not giving that permission. What it's going to be in 15 years, I don't know, but I don't want to tell you that they're going to agree to it, because they often don't. The reality is the interest rates on these things are so low that if you have money in your fund balance, you can earn more interest on it, through a bank CD these days than what you're paying. So in most cases, it's extremely rare somebody wants to pay these off, just because it frees up money to either invest or to do other projects and serve other needs. Because if you'd have to go to a bank, your rate's going to be more like 4% instead of 1.75. So it's rare, but if it is a concern of the city, I respect that.
That can be done down the road, obviously, to ask.
Well, yeah, we can definitely ask. I just don't. I want to tell you that right now their policy is no. So don't expect that it could change in 10, 15 years.
If there's no more questions, then we can proceed with the.
Yep.
You want the contract that you want that approved plus the resolution, correct?
Yeah, that would be.
Okay. I'll take the contract first then. Okay, I make a motion to approve the contract with Dickerson Wright for the loan, proceed with the grants.
Support.
I'll second.
I think.
Zimmer,
Yes.
Murder,
Yes.
Mazer,
Yes.
Schneider,
Yes.
Sofa,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
Weaver.
Yes.
I'll make a motion that we approve the resolution to purchase and acquire and construct improvements to the water sewer system and to publish those with the intent to issue the revenue bonds.
Support.
That's here, Donna, you can just put it off.
Murder,
Yes.
Mazer,
Yes.
Schneider,
Yes.
Sofa,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Zimmer.
Yes.
Roger, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Roger.
I look forward to working with you. Have a good night.
Okay, next up under unfinished business, planning commission on the marijuana operation hours. Steve, do you want to touch on this?
Sure. We had a public meeting, public hearing on the question of expanding the hours for the marijuana dispensaries in town. We have 2 currently, only one's in operation. They asked to extend hours until 10 o'clock. Right now, it is until 8 o'clock in the evening. We had pretty good discussion, fair turnout. Vote from the Planning Commission was unanimous not to go in that direction at this time. That's the short story of that.
So the planning came with a recommendation not to extend the hours, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, can I have a motion stating that, please?
I would move, but before I do, may I just say a few things about that one last time since it's come up? I want to repeat what I said at the Planning Commission just for the exercise of transparency on how I came to this decision anyway. In the big picture, I'm looking at it as is, how does a society just unravel? This is one of these issues that I'm seeing in a microcosm that's been doing that to this town. It unravels gradually, then suddenly. And this is a good example of how this is really happening in town. I'm not personally opposed to an individual's desire to smoke. My position has always been that. And I also am always been in favor of criminalizing the marijuana laws. This creep toward this universal, unlimited embrace of this drug, it's a mistake. And it's to the point that kids, middle school, even elementary ages, can't escape this increasing newfound idea that smoking weed has no downside. And we're already an overly medicated society. And at this point in time, I'm thinking less is better than more. I prefer revenue that wasn't the result of an excise tax on vice, the trade-off for money. There is a cost. It's a small change in the city dynamic. I realize the request is, but if allowing the weed shops to stay open late is approved, you'll have 2 weed shops open till 10 on the downtown corners. I feel it's better just keeping the hours as it is. It's better for me, personal opinion. I'm a guy that likes a sleepy small town feel, and I'm just one man expressing a small town opinion. I'm asking just for a timeout now on expanding boundaries. Let's see the second store start up, get a couple-year track record of both businesses running and see what we get. If council wants to expand hours or operations or add more businesses after we get some real-time history, expand away. Council only needs 4 votes to do that. My message is, what's the hurry? I know we got alcohol, we got tobacco, we got lotteries ad infinitum, we got digital explosion of gambling online, betting, unlimited porn available for any age, anytime, right to your phone. With the Congress spend a little time on that issue, but however, there is revenue in all the above. I get it, marijuana has joined that club, but there is a cost. I see it in the 1-800 call, you had a gambling addiction, drug, alcohol addiction, we got numbers for that too. Not for porn, though, government's still okay with that. But a quick recap of the weed program in town. Originally Memphis opted out of the state program, and the council opted back in. The council adopted a weed ordinance and made several types of licenses available. 1 dispensary license was awarded, the 2nd license was granted by the court order via a lawsuit. An attempt was made to rezone a light industrial area to allow multi-acre outdoor grows for commercial purposes. Thank God that wasn't successful. And the public spirit was pretty passionate on that, and it was a clear no as far as they did not want any further expansion of the business. When we had those public hearings, we had 2 of them. And we adopted both those recommendations, and council agreed with that decision and passed them also, I believe, unanimously. And those 2 things were no rezoning of industrial land for agricultural grows and no commercial indoor-outdoor grows in Memphis, period. And that's reflected in our ordinance now. I think we got between $50,000 and $60,000 in revenue from the dispensaries, and depends on how you count it. I may be off a little bit there. Macomb County received about $750,000. And I found interesting a quote from Mark Hackle, who's the county executive in Macomb. We're very focused in working with the health and substance abuse services. I don't think there's any question services are needed in those areas, and this is something that marijuana regulation funds can be used for. So there is a cost. It gets marijuana gets its place at the table with the sin taxes, and, I'm happy to pay for the unfortunates. I'm not happy to pay for, but they're happy to pay for with these added programs for these people whose lives are being destroyed. And there's really a large cost for the youth. It's not good, and I speak from experience. I've been around this issue of marijuana my entire life. I'd rather see less than more right now, We'll have 2 stores running shortly. I don't think it's too much to ask them to abide by the ordinances as written. Let's get a trial run before we start changing the ordinance again. There's a lot of issues competing for time. And it'd be nice if marijuana was not one of them for a change. The lure of money, I know it's strong, and many municipalities and cities seek this revenue stream. Despite that, consider there are plenty of other cities in the state that opted out. There is a cost, and there's reasons that they stayed out. So that was my take on it at the Planning Commission, and it remains here, and I just appreciate letting you go on the record with that. So I would move that we keep the hours the same for the time being. There isn't a change.
Mazer,
Yes.
Schneider,
Yes.
Sofa,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes, I'm supporting keeping that same. Okay.
Weaver,
Yes.
Zimmer,
Yes.
Martyr.
Yes. Great, new business, administrative memo number 3, budget amendments. Can I get a motion to move some money around here?
Well, I make a motion that we approve administration number 3 on the election, fire department, and major streets.
Support.
Schneider,
Yes.
Sofa, Wilson,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Zimmer,
Yes.
Martyr, Mazer.
Yes.
All right, next up, Michigan Homeowner Assistance Fund Provider Participation Agreement. So this is agreement they're looking at us to sign into. I don't know if you guys have spent some time reading over this. I don't have that great of a legal mind, but basically I think the biggest help here would be for people that are facing utility shut-offs, for delinquent payments. So we would sign into this agreement. That's my understanding. It's up to the homeowner to pursue getting the funds to cover the losses. Is that my, did everybody get
That's,
that?
that's the indication I got. It's an example of if they can't pay their water bills, it's way behind. And if we have to opt into this in order for them to get that.
Right,
And
but it's up to the homeowner to pursue it.
Absolutely.
It's not up to the city. The city signs into this agreement.
Right.
And then if a homeowner is, say, behind on their water bill and they don't have the funds to pay it, they have to
Qualify.
per se go online, go through this program to get the approval to have their bill paid.
Yeah, and there's certain qualifications, which I don't know what they are, but they would have to qualify through the state.
It's like a MISHDA homeowner down payment grant sort of a thing. It's really similar. Instead of helping people get into homes, it kind of helps you save your home.
Yeah.
If you fall behind on bills or anything like that, they don't want to foreclose on people. So
It's federally funded.
and the way I see it is it's no cost at all to the city. So from reading it over, I didn't see that there's any cost to us. So I see no problem with that.
How difficult is it for the city to just sign up for it? Is that all?
That's pretty much what we're doing. We're signing up for it, and if
Not
somebody
a
needs
whole
it.
lot of application process for us. We're just saying that we would like to be in the program.
Is that your understanding, Donald?
I gotta go on and just all some paperwork, but I would hate if somebody needed the help not to do it.
Yeah, because I think there's probably a few folks in here that could use the assistance.
So
Sure.
I'll make a motion to opt into the Michigan Homeowner Assistance Fund.
Support?
Sofa,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Zimmer,
Yes.
Martyr,
Yes.
Mazer,
Yes.
Schneider.
Yes.
Very good. Next up, approve the bid for the police departments, or the bid for the police department's 2014 Dodge Charger. Let's see, we had 10 bids that were put on it, and the high bid was for $8,225. Can I get a motion to accept the bid?
I'll make that motion.
Support.
Wilson,
Yes.
Weaver,
Yes.
Zimmer,
Yes.
Martyr,
Yes.
Mazer,
Yes.
Schneider,
Yes.
Sofa.
Yes.
Big spread in the bids.
I know they're alone.
Yeah,
A lot of they are spread out.
2,000 to 8,000.
Next up, the invoice from FireCat, and this is for ladder testing and the fire hose testing. Anything you want to add to that, Doug?
No, it's just our annual testing.
Okay. Can I get a motion to pay the bill to FireCat for $2,902.75?
I'll make that motion. I'll support.
Weaver,
Yes.
Zimmer,
Yes.
Martyr,
Yes.
Mazer,
Yes.
Schneider,
Yes.
Sofa,
Yes.
Wilson.
Yes.
All right, next up, we have an invoice for $1,537 for tires for the, is this for the backhoe?
Tobacco, yeah.
Are they rotting off?
No, there wasn't much tread like that.
Okay.
First set for the rear. I had
Can I get a motion?
1,881 hours if I, something like that.
That's it, consider it on the road.
And we've had it about for 10 years now. So yeah, gets an awful lot of road use.
Actually surprising to me that it's that low.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And 200 of it was the service dog.
Okay.
And to dispose of the tires would have been an additional 200, but I found a home that for them. A family that thought the kids,
Like
that the
tires-
kids would
tire
play with
swings or?
it. Whatever, sandbox, whatever they're gonna make out of them.
Okay, great.
I'll make the motion to approve the invoice from Nestle Tire in the amount of $1,537.
Support.
Zimmer,
Yes.
Martyr,
Yes.
Mazer,
Yes.
Schneider,
Yes.
Sofa,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
Weaver.
Yes.
I really don't have anything to add. Jason? Oh, I'm sorry, back up. I'm sorry, I missed a note here. You're invited. Please come join us in celebration of opening, the grand opening of the Richmond Lennox EMS Station Number 4 on May 31st, 2023 at 7 o'clock. Refreshments and hors d'oeuvres will be provided. This is on, the address is 609 Burnell, but it's over here in the north end of town, just past Mr. Z's. It's Doc Gideon's old office. It turned into the EMS station out there. So it's nice to have one even closer now. With that, Jason?
I have nothing.
Larry?
Yes, the Boardman Road project. The state will, or MDOT will be opening the bids on the May 5th. And we will, it'll probably have to come to us to approve, for approval. So what we may have to do is, we won't want to wait till the next council meeting. So when we find out, I'll request a special meeting.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep.
Okay, that's all I have.
Mr. Weaver?
Just curious if we did put a ad out for an enforcement officer. I saw that we had a sample one in there. Has been any movement on
Like-
that?
The plate?
For this newspaper
Like-
clipping?
Yeah, the code enforcement
Code
officer.
enforcement.
Yeah. Yeah. Not that I know of.
No ad was put out, I was just told.
That was just some
So bad.
information,
Yeah.
so that if we want to look at that.
That's how you would word it? if you were
Yeah, I
looking
guess,
at it.
and, so maybe that's something we need to look at as, just for code enforcement here in the city.
Has there been any movement on some of the issues that we've had, discussed this recently on that? Doesn't seem like there has been.
No, it's one of those, it's all about enforcement, who doesn't want to do it. I mean, it's like, the issue of blight is just an ongoing thing here, and, we have a couple that are front and center that are on Main Street that get a lot of attention, but take a few minutes and drive all around town. We have a lot of.
What would be the next step then, Mr. Mayor, in just getting that advertisement out there? you know, take it, have it be an agenda item, or we gotta wait another month, or can we do something?
Well, did we not have an advisory meeting on that?
We have not,
No?
no.
So why don't we,
I like to listen to that.
we set up an advisory meeting, look into hiring a code enforcement officer.
That's all I have.
Ms. Major?
I was just curious, is there a response to the good ones?
No, it's, under attorney's design.
Okay, all right, there you go, nothing. Thank you.
Mr. Zimmer?
I just had a question for Doug. We had talked about tires for the, at previous meetings, tires for the fire engine. Is that the one that needs to be replaced as well? So would we be looking at tires and an engine, or would it make more sense to?
Tires have already been put on that engine.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
Wasn't that long ago, was it?
No,
we just put new tires on it and now it needs to be replaced as well? Yeah,
eventually.
okay.
It'll be a year at least, probably.
It could be a
Yeah,
while.
that's
before we get
what's
it.
the timeline, I guess,
They're
is.
saying right now, if you order a new engine today, you can expect to wait a year and a half to 2 years
Okay.
for it to be built.
That's all, I'm just curious. That's all I had.
For sale with new tires.
Well, at its age, it could be used.
We had a police committee meeting, and in your packet you have the standard operating procedures that the chief gave us for the salvage program, so it'll be his standard procedures. So it's basically out of the city council's hand, so that way he can amend it as he sees fit, and kind of explains everything in there about what they're responsible for, how the money should be paid to the city, and how it's going to be dispersed to them.
Is there anything that needs to be voted on for that, or we just,
We don't vote on.
It's gonna be the chiefs,
it's
right?
all the
Yeah.
operations?
Yep. That's all I have. Motion to adjourn.